Jean, and welcome to the fourth episode of my knitting podcast. Today in SoCal, it's a really gloomy day. We've been having a lot of foggy days here, and it seems like in the coming weeks it's going to stay the same. I don't know what's happening because we're approaching summer and the weather is like fall weather, but I'm kind of enjoying it. I'm not ready for the heat yet, so I'll keep knitting my cold weather projects as long as I can. Today should be a pretty short episode. I don't have too much to show. I have one finished object, one work in progress, and a few swatches to show, but no acquisitions. So let's just get right into it. So let's start with what I'm wearing, which is also my finished object. This is the Breezy Back Blouse by Wool & Beyond. Let me just stand up so you can get a better look. Here's the front and the back, which of course is the draw of this pattern. So I knit this blouse in Hanui silk, Noro Hanui silk, and the contrast color is a leftover yarn from a different project. It's Purl Soho Good Wool. Here, these are the remaining amounts I have left. So pretty good amount for both. The Hanui silk, the color is 107, and the good wool, the color is called Walking Stick. Really cute name. So this project, I knitted the body in 5.0 needles, the ribbed edge in 3.5, and Wool & Beyond, she has a couple of variations that she offers for this project. First is you can knit short sleeve or long sleeve, and then next is this collar. You can do single collar or double folded, and then she also gives a couple of options for the hems. I think you can do a folded hem like this, or you can also do I-cord edge. Yeah, well, I guess for any project you can finish it off how you want, but those are the ones she offers in the pattern. So yeah, I went for the short sleeve because I wanted to wear it for spring. And as for the collar, I think the double folded collar would look cuter in the front, but for the back, the part where it hugs the neck, I think it looks a lot better as a single collar. So I just went with the single, and then I thought the folded hems looked really cute in her project photos because that's what she uses, so I copied that. The folded hems, however, I may go back and change. I had a little bit of trouble with them. So this is my first time doing a folded hem, and I always thought it gave a really neat appearance. But so first I did the body folded hem, right? I'll put a picture of how it looked like when I first did it, but I did have to redo it because with the folded hem, you knit to the length that you want, and then you do a row of purl stitches, and then you knit the same amount of you knit the amount of stitches that you want to fold over, and then you bind off, and then you fold it along the line of purl stitches, and then you sew it together. But when I did the body hem the first time, I don't think I pulled it up high enough. So what I did is from the purl stitch row, I counted the exact number of stitches above the purl stitch row as I knitted after, because in my head that makes sense, you know. I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly. I'm sorry if it's super confusing. Anyways, so I just counted the same number of stitches, folded it over, and I didn't really check the fit. I just sewed down the whole bottom hem, assuming I was correct. But when I finished it, something looked really off. It seemed like the bottom of the purl stitches was sticking out. I couldn't see this curve that you get, this little line here that you get with folded hems. So I just undid the whole thing and then redid it, and I thought it looked a lot better. So I'm happy with that. But as for the sleeve folded hem, I also redid it the first time, even though I already had the experience of redoing the body hem. And the reason is because the first time I did the sleeve folded hem, I think I sewed it together too tightly. You know, after you fold it over and you sew it to the inside, I think I did it too tightly. So the sleeves were flaring out a lot, which I did not like. And even now, after I loosened it up a lot and blocked it, it's still flaring out. I think I'm okay with it now, but I do like the look in Wool & Beyond's her project photos. It's just like a very clean, straight sleeve. Of course, I'm using a way different yarn from hers, so it only makes sense. Her original, the main body fabric is wool and mohair held together, but I'm not sure when I would be able to wear that, so I went for this wool and silk blend. I already mentioned it last time, but I'll just repeat it. This Noro Hanui silk, the blend is 65% wool and 35% silk, and this contrast yarn is just 100% wool. The Hanui silk is extremely comfortable, close to skin. I'm not wearing like a tank top or any, I'm just wearing my bra under, and there's zero irritation. But I did wear this out yesterday, and my neck did start getting a little itchy with this wool, so that's just a warning for the Purl Soho good wool. It feels not fine now though, so maybe it's just like longer hours. Even though it's gloomy today, yesterday it did get up to mid-70s, I think. The sun was coming out, and I was really comfortable wearing this shirt, so I'm glad it didn't get too warm. And surprisingly, I didn't feel too much of a breeze on my back. So I didn't get chilly either. So that's a good sign. I'll report back on how practical this shirt really is, but I didn't really knit this shirt to be practical. I knit it because I just love the back detail. I just think it's so cute. I wanted to talk about the knitting experience I had with this this pattern. So this pattern, it's quite a thick yarn, and there's not that much fabric. You know, it's short sleeve, and then the back is all open. So I thought it'd be really quick for me to knit, but it was actually kind of a slog. And yeah, that's mainly because of the needle size. 5.0 needles is just I just get tired really quickly while knitting on them. But I do love this yarn, so I don't regret it. And I'm not saying I'm not going to knit on larger needles in the future, but I'll probably, it'll be another factor that I consider when I choose projects, you know. I'll have to like space out large needle projects in between smaller needle projects. Knitting these neck and all the border edges, all the contrast color edges, was definitely my favorite part of the project. When I was just knitting this silk, even though I do love the fabric that it produces, the way it stripes subtly, you know, between the beiges and the whites, it did look a little, how should I say, not clean, not finished, you know. I wasn't sure I would really like the result, but as soon as I knit these contrast colors, I was sold. I think I chose like the perfect color to go with this Hanui silk. This darker brown, I think it really just like ties everything together, and just makes it a lot cuter in my opinion. Yeah, so I'm really glad that I happen to have this extra yarn. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the rest of it. I do have, okay, actually again, I'm getting off topic. I have a lot of like scrap projects that are on my to make list. I'm just slowly accumulating scraps. But I feel like I'll also, when I have enough scraps, I'll also have a hard time choosing which ones to use and also combining different yarn weights. Okay, I'm getting a little stressed just thinking about it, so I'll put that aside for now. I also did put a elastic in this collar. The bind off, by the way, for the collar and for the back border edge, it's Italian bind off. So you're doing the 2 rows of double knitting before you do the bind off. So it's easy to insert the elastic into the double knitting rows. I'm not sure if that's the original reason why those rows are put in, but it's really convenient. It hides the elastic a lot better than when it's just plain ribbing. So overall, if I had to give this shirt a score, I would say I'm 85% satisfied with it. First, the back, it gets 100 points for me. I freaking love the back. I think it's so cute. The front, I do think it's a little boring looking, but that's just, it's a t-shirt. What can you do about it? And then some points are deducted also because of the sleeve, but that can also be fixed. So yeah, 85% for me. While knitting it, so this is my first time knitting a woolen beyond pattern, and overall I didn't have major issues. I did have like a couple of minor things. First is when doing the ribbed edges, and then when she gives you instructions for knitting and purling, it seems like so because there's self-edge stitches, so the first stitch is a knit and then the last stitch is a knit as well. Okay, you know what? I don't know how to explain it exactly without putting exactly the words of the pattern here. So I'm just going to say it seemed like there was something wrong, but it's nothing major because you just knit and purl the same as the previous row, so I didn't like run into any serious issues. It just didn't seem like it was exactly as the pattern wrote the way I did it. But honestly, I'm not 100% confident that I'm not the one who was wrong and I was just reading the pattern wrong, and nothing like if you've knit before, it's not going to be a problem for you. If you knit any pattern before, it's not going to be a problem for you. I also wish there's a little bit more instruction on doing the folded hem and shirt, because I've never done it before, but it's because I've never done it before. So I didn't know how far I should be pulling up the hem or whatever. But overall, I got through it just fine. And I'm looking forward to knit more of her patterns. I'm looking forward to knit more of her patterns. I think, she had a spring sale pretty recently, and I had all the items in my cart ready to check out, but for some reason I just didn't. I think because I was on my phone and I wanted to do like mobile checkout, but then you needed to enter your credit card, and I was too lazy to go grab my credit card, so I just left it in my cart and I missed the sale. Next time. I want to knit her thin sweater for sure. Also, either the honey vest or the lonely leftovers vest. I couldn't decide between the two, but I might be leaning towards the honey vest because of the texture. I do like the single bow of the lonely leftovers vest though, but I could always adapt the honey vest to only have a single bow. Anyways, last few comments on this shirt. Again, I'm super duper happy with how the fabric of the Hanui silk turned out. I really like the subtle striping that it gives, and the one tone of the contrast with. I don't know if I would buy the other colors of Hanui silk, however. I forgot to mention, so Hanui silk is undyed, and this good wool, it also happens to be undyed, so this whole project, I guess that's why it's so brown and beige, because all the wool is undyed. But anyways, the other colors of the Hanui silk, they're definitely higher contrast. They look more marled, I would say. I think the darkest color, it gives me kind of like Oreo cheesecake marble vibes, which is a cute look, but not what I'm looking for right now. Maybe if my tastes change in the future, but yeah. The shirt, I'm really looking forward to wearing it the rest of spring and summer. If you're looking for bra-friendly patterns, but you don't mind showing a little bit of skin, this one's great. I'm wearing a bra right now and you can't see anything. And also, if you're wearing a high-waisted pants like I am right now, you're really not showing much of your back at all. I might put in another clip of me wearing it just because I'm describing the back so much, but you can't see any of the back. And I just remember one more thing about the construction. So the way that the pattern is written has a certain way to do the selvage stitches around the cutouts in the back and also in this collar. And it makes for a really neat looking inside. For me, that's a really satisfying part about picking up stitches. The selvage stitches, the way she has you do the self stitches for the borders makes for a very neat inside when after you pick up the stitches. So for me, I really like looking at the inside of my knitted garments to see what they look like and how neat they are. And this particular way that they describe makes for a very satisfying looking inside of the garment. I feel like I'm like stumbling over my words today. Hopefully you get the idea. I'll put a clip of what it looks like. Not like anyone can see it, but for my personal satisfaction, I really like it. Yeah. Anything else for this shirt? I don't think so, but yes, I do really like it. I'm very, very, very tempted to make another in a thinner yarn and a cooler yarn, so when it gets really hot, I'll still be able to wear it. I feel like it's not going to get really hot till like fall this year though. It's so strange, this weather. Well, anyways, yeah, that's the Breezy Back Blouse by Wool and Beyond. And let's get into my one work in progress. So I'm not sure if I ever mentioned, I don't think I have. My work in progress is, not sure if you can tell just from, no, you definitely cannot. This is all I've done. Like I said, I took a long time for this blouse, so I didn't really have time to start another project. This is the Marseilles Sweater by Petiteknit. The yarn that I'm using is this one, Simply Wool Worsted by Knitpicks. And this gray color is Winkle. I think the striped color that I'm using, this cream one, is Wendy. I think all their colors are named starting with a W. I'm not sure why they're doing that. It makes it very hard to remember. And they also happen to be all undyed yarn. I don't know why my projects just happen to be undyed right now, so I'm feeling a serious lack of color, but the project after this one will be a little more colorful. Anyways, let's talk about this one. Yeah, the Simply Wool Worsted, it's undyed 100% wool, and I'm using 4.0 millimeter needles to do this project. I think, so the first time I swatched, I did 4.0, but I think the gauge, it was one stitch off. It was a little too big, so I went down in needle size. I did 3.75, and with that one, I hit the the stitch gauge, but the fabric looked quite tight, and my experience knitting was a little uncomfortable as well, so I decided to just go with the 4.0 needles, which is the the recommended needle in the pattern, and it's also the lower limit of the recommended needle by Knitpicks for this yarn, and it's just going to be a massive sweater for me. I've accepted it. Even if it was on gauge, it would have been a really large sweater on me. But I think Petiteknit has a smaller frame than I do, so perhaps the fit, what word am I looking for? The ease it gives me will be the same as it gives her. We'll see. yeah, so it's a summer is fast approaching, and I started a 100% wool sweater, and that's because I'm taking advantage of this strange spring that we're having. I also, most of my stash, I mentioned last time that I'm trying to cut down on my stash and not buy any yarn. So, and most of my stash happens to be wool, which I think is pretty common. So I'm taking this chance to, knit through my wool while my fingers won't get sticky while knitting. And then I'll move on to my more summer fibers when it starts to heat up here. So yeah, while it's still cool, I'm going to be knitting my wool, and then I'll transition when I have to. Yeah, I think okay, I also started this project because I wanted to start something up ASAP, because after knitting this blouse, I took a few days break from knitting, and then by that time I was really itching to start something, but I didn't have any swatch ready besides this one. So first I knit up 3 swatches, and then I let them dry, but I still wanted to knit something that night, so that's why I picked up this project. When I was buying the pattern from Petiteknit's website, I got distracted because she also recently released her Lion sweater, and I was just looking at the project specs, and that project's gauge perfectly matches this Simply Wool worsted on the same size needles, 4.0. So I was really tempted to just not make the Marseilles Sweater and just switch over to the Lion one. The problem is the Lion sweater, I don't like how closely spaced the stripes are. I really like the wide and the widely spaced ones of the Marseilles Sweater. I think it just gives a better balance. But I do love the back shoulder details of the Lion sweater. It seems like Petiteknit, her older patterns, typically they try to do like a seamless transition from the back to the shoulders on all her drop shoulder patterns. But for the Lion sweater, she has like a couple lines of knit stitches delineating the back from the front, and I think it just gives a really nice finish, a nice polished look. So I'm definitely not going to knit that pattern with the stripes that she shows, but I'm really tempted to do like a one color maybe for the whole sweater, or maybe I'll just make up some kind of color work to do along the body. We'll see. It also has more fitted sleeves. It's not a drop shoulder pattern. I think it's really fun how recently all her patterns have been more, I don't know if they're actually set-in sleeves, but they look like set-in sleeves. So it seems like she's moving from the oversized silhouette to a more fitted silhouette, and I'm all for that. I guess, Petiteknit, her patterns they just keep evolving, and I think I'll be knitting them forever. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention. So I chose this yarn, the Simply Wool worsted, because I do think this is the exact combination that Tiffany from Typical Bliss used for her Marseilles sweater. I think it's one of the first videos I watched from her when she finished her sweater and showed her yarn choice and everything, and I just thought it looked perfect and I was looking for a more budget option than the double Sunday, so I pounced on it. I think each skein of these goes for, I think there's a sale right now, but maybe $7, $8, and I think on sale somewhere around $6. And for the extra small size, which is what I'm knitting, oh, I did forget to mention, it's so late, but yes, this Breezy Back Blouse I also knit in extra small. But I'm not sure what my gauge ended up being, so that's not very useful. Okay, anyways, back to the Marseilles Sweater. I'm knitting it in the extra small, and for that size you need 5 of the main color and, 500 grams of the main color and 100 grams of the contrast color. I personally think that's going to be way too much, but this is a pretty, this will be I can use this yarn either way. I'm stockpiling yarn for scrap projects anyways, right? So yeah, in total the sweater will be about $50, I think, which is for a 100% wool sweater is quite affordable. So I'm happy with that. I do hope that this wool will hold up. So far, as I'm knitting it, it's a very comfortable experience. Like it's, so you know when you feel wool and it's really soft and you love the feeling? I've started to get wary of wool that is too soft because that makes me think it's going to pill. So this one I like because it's soft, but it does have some grit to it, you know? It feels a little rustic, so that gives me hope. And I also think it's 4-plied. Is it? Well, it has some plies. It's not a single ply. So that should give it some structure as well. And I'm knitting it on the lowest recommended needle size. So the tighter gauge will have the stitches closer together and hold together more tightly, and hopefully there's minimal pilling. That's definitely the most annoying part about knitting. But yeah, I will let you guys know once I've finished the sweater and worn it a bunch. This sweater design is such a staple. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be reaching for it every day for a while after I finish. I don't know if anyone else is like this. As soon as you finish a project, you just wear it constantly for like a couple weeks after, until you finish your next knitted project, and then you start wearing that. It's only after a while do I start like cycling back to my older knitted projects. Let's see, is there anything else about this Marseilles sweater I wanted to say? Oh, okay, so about the start to the pattern, and I don't know if anyone has heard, but it's not a standard start to the pattern. I don't know if I should say exactly what it is, but I will say, so normally this is a drop shoulder sweater pattern, and normally with drop shoulders, you start with knitting the back, but you just do a regular cast on, and then you start shaping the back. But this one, it's not exactly that, and it was a little finicky, but it's not too bad. So I am curious about the reason why she went for a little different shoulder construction. My guess is she just wanted to try out something new. There's not really anything material that's going to come of the different construction in terms of the fit. But it's kind of fun for me too to try different constructions, so I'm not complaining. And also, so I mentioned my stitch gauge is off. My row gauge is also pretty off, and it is a striped pattern, so she tells you how many stitches are between stripes and how many stitches each stripe is. So I'm a little worried about that. I'm worried I'm going to get either a sweater that's way too long or because yeah, the row gauge is too big as well. So I'm worried I'm gonna get a sweater that's way too long, or I'm going to have to stop it a little early because I don't want to get too long, and then the proportion of the stripes on the sweater will look off. So I definitely don't want to do that. Maybe I will. I definitely don't think there's room to change the number of rows for these stripes, but maybe I'll take off a couple rows in between stripes. I should definitely be planning that out before getting too far on the pattern. So yeah, I'll do a little thinking before I get into the meat of it. But otherwise, it's been comfortable going to a 4.0 needle pattern, single strand of yarn, and it's a drop shoulder. That seems to be my comfort zone right now. So yeah, it's been a comfy knitting experience for me so far. And I think that's all I have to say about the Marseilles Sweater. I will update you on my progress next podcast. So now I have a few swatches to show. It's not like I like knitting swatches, but I think I've seen the lights when it comes to getting the exact project that you want, especially when you spend a little bit more money on these yarns. You really want the end project to turn out how you envisioned. So I see swatches definitely as a necessary evil. So that one night I just hunkered down and busted out 3 swatches. The first one I'll show is this one. So this yarn I have shown as an acquisition, I think a couple episodes ago. This one is Lana Grossa Cashmere 16 Fine. It's 80% wool, 10% polyamide, and 10% cashmere. I mentioned when I bought this, I didn't actually look at the material content. I just saw the name was cashmere and I saw the price and I thought it was a great deal. Only when I got home did I realize it's not 100% cashmere. Obviously I should have known that. But I think it'll be a suitable replacement. I bought this one intending to make Petiteknit's Elizabeth blouse. That one calls for Cardiff cashmere, which is 100% cashmere, but it's extremely expensive. So I'm not sure. I definitely want to make one, a whole cashmere sweater, but maybe later on. I bought this one. Yeah, I bought this at a local yarn store. And they didn't have too many options for colors for this yarn, but I do like this color that I chose. I don't have anything that's this dark gray, and I do think darker colors tend to look better on me. Again, side note, I don't think this beigey color actually looks that great. I think this darker brown, being the border between the beige and my skin, saves it a little. But yeah, sadly, even as much as I love beige, I don't think it loves me back. Okay, back to this stitch. So this yarn, if you can see, it's a chainette and it's very stretchy. I've never worked with a yarn like this. So knitting the gauge was a little interesting. I wasn't sure how tightly I should be pulling the yarn. I think the stretchiness comes from the polyamide. I'm not sure, but anyways, this first gauge is pretty off. It's way too small for the Elizabeth blouse, so I'll be going up in needle size and knitting another swatch. It's also a very the fabric that it produces is very interesting looking. It's like fuzzy almost. It kind of reminds me of those really chunky yarns that you can find at Michael's that people use for blankets, which I don't hate, but I've never knit with this kind of yarn for such a thin yarn with this type of feeling, but it is very comfortable. I know this will feel really comfortable against my skin, which is good because the Elizabeth blouse is a tighter fitting blouse. When I knit the swatch at first, I definitely did not like how the fabric looked, but after blocking, I think it looks fine. Yeah, I'm semi-excited to knit with it. I guess after I finish, then I'll be able to say if I would repurchase this yarn again. And after knitting this cashmere blend, of course, I immediately wanted to try knitting a swatch from my actual cashmere. So this one is Cardiff cashmere, and I bought this yarn intending to make Naked Knits wrap top. So this yarn I mentioned already, but I'll just reiterate. Also, sorry if you see a bunch of cat hair on these yarns. It's kind of gross, sorry, but it's just a part of my life, cat hairs and everything. Anyways, yes, I bought this yarn in Japan, and I was just tempted because I was in a foreign country and I saw yarn for a project that I really wanted to make, so I just bought it. In my defense, the wrap top, it only calls for 3 balls of cashmere, only 75 grams, so it didn't put too huge of a dent in my wallet. Yeah, so this one is the Cardiff cashmere, and I can definitely feel the difference between this cashmere and the cashmere blend. So first, while this one also has like a fuzzy feeling, it's a much more substantial softness. The last one, I do think this one is also a chainette, but it's a lot tighter. The last one, you could see the holes. I don't know if it's focusing. Anyways, you could see the holes in the chainette of the cashmere blend much more clearly. This one does not stretch. If you see when I pull, it goes taut. It doesn't go anywhere. And just the feeling of the fabric, it feels amazing, honestly. I can see why cashmere is so expensive, and I do think it's worth its price if you can swing it, and I definitely want to save up to make a full cashmere sweater in the future. But just looking at the swatch, my stitches look so even. The fabric is just so beautiful. I'm enamored for sure. This is actually my second swatch for this yarn. The first swatch I did using the recommended needle size for the wrap top, which is 3.0 millimeters. But for that one, so the wrap top, they ask you to get 30 stitches for 10 centimeters, but I think I got 27, which is pretty far off. So I decided to size down 2 needles to 2.5, and this time I got 31 stitches. So I think I'll just go ahead and knit another swatch for this yarn on 2.75 and then see how that turns out. That is going to be the highest number of swatches I've ever done, but of course, because this is my most expensive yarn, I need to treat it correctly. And also because the wrap top it seems like you do have to be quite precise in the gauge. I really love the Naked Knits original product photos for that wrap top, but I don't love all of the testers or all of the examples that I've seen. And that tends to be, I think, when the chest area is too large, like up the top, it doesn't seem to look as polished. So if anything, I'll err on a smaller size. I'll go with the 2.5 if I'm too lazy to do a 2.75 millimeter swatch. Yeah. All right. Coming up on the last item of the podcast, my last swatch, and which this will likely be my next cast on after I finish the Marseilles Sweater. Look, this honestly is the most exciting swatch. Just look at how beautiful this swatch is. And this is the yarn. So this yarn is knitting for Olive Pure Silk. Oh, this yarn is knitting for Olive Pure Silk, and the color is Dusty Artichoke. I mentioned before. Well, okay, I'll get to that later. Anyways, this swatch is for James N. Watts' Dappled Lace Raglan, which I think is his latest release. Yeah, so originally I bought this yarn. Originally I bought like 7 balls of this yarn because I used 4 of them to make a moonset tee for my friend, which I still have because I still haven't seen her. So I still haven't given it to her, but I intended to use the rest of the balls to make a Friday tee by Petiteknit, and I have some leftover beige yarn, beige knitting for Olive Pure Silk, that I was going to pair with it. So the green would be the main color and then the beige would be the contrast stripes. But when I was holding them together, there was not that much contrast, and also the beige was a warmer looking beige, while this green is most definitely a cool green. So I felt like they kind of clash. And then adding to that, when I was trying on the moonset tee, I really was unsure about this color on me. I don't think it looks terrible, but I don't think it exactly suits me either. So I was really thinking to myself, do I really want to make a whole shirt with these 2 colors that don't seem to go together, and with this green that doesn't seem to go well with my skin? But I also didn't know what to do with the yarn either. When I first saw this Dappled Lace Raglan on James N. Watts' podcast, Okay, hopefully you can't hear my stomach growling because that'd be really embarrassing. Anyways, so I've been watching James and Watts' podcast, which I love. He just talks for 1 to 2 hours, doesn't edit his videos, and puts it on, and they're so enjoyable to watch. I always have it on the background while I'm like doing something that doesn't need too much thought. Anyway, so at the beginning of I think his most recent podcast, he's wearing his completed dappled lace raglan, and when I saw it, I just gasped because I thought it was so beautiful looking. His is a beige color, and I think it's knit in a heavier weight yarn than the than the pure silk. Yeah, but when I saw that pattern, I knew I had to make it immediately. And then shortly after, I think he announced a birthday sale, because it was his birthday on Earth Day, and I wasn't going to miss this sale. So I'll talk about the other patterns I got from him after, but yeah, this is the one that I definitely had to get. And I thought that the lace motif looked quite leafy, floral, and this green color would match it. And yeah, I wanted to try the swatch, and I do really like it. The way I'm justifying using this color on myself is that since it's a lace pattern, it'll be showing a lot of skin under, or whatever I'm wearing under. I do have like this black turtleneck that I wear a lot, so that color will essentially, there'll be less of this color because of the holes in the pattern. Also because I think the green just really suits the design itself. That makes me more willing to knit it in a garment for myself. Anyways, this is definitely a project that I'm excited to make. Blocking this swatch was super satisfying. If you've ever knit lace, you know that blocking is crucial. When I was first knitting following the chart for this pattern, I wasn't sure I was doing it correctly because I didn't like the result. But as soon as I blocked it and really stretched it out, I was just amazed. I think I'm going to I want to knit more lace projects in the future because the result is just so beautiful. And I think I hit gauge for this one. It might be a little small, but I feel like it can stretch quite a bit. I think so. The size ranges for his patterns are very broad, but I fall pretty much right in between his smallest size and the next smallest size. So I'll just knit the second size, and then if this is a little small, it's not a big deal. And I think this would look really cute as a flowy shirt as well. Oh, this would look so cute as a cardigan too. I don't know, he doesn't usually release the same pattern, the same stitch in different modes. Oh, actually he hasn't made a cardigan either. That's an idea for him. I would love a cardigan version of the dappled lace. Anyways, yes, I'm super excited to knit that. If it starts getting warm, I'll definitely start knitting that. But if after I finish my Marseilles sweater, it's still this gloomy type of weather, then I'll probably knit the Elizabeth blouse instead. Hopefully I figured out the needle and yarn combination by then. Oh, okay, right. I wanted to chat a little bit about all the other patterns I got during his sale. It was a pretty generous sale. I don't remember what the percentage was. I think it was 22% because 22 is the date of his birthday. Don't quote me on that. Okay. So I bought 4 patterns. I bought the Dappled lace Raglan. I bought his best vest, which, oh my god, his version of the best vest is also so cute. That green color and the slightly oversized fit is just amazing. Yeah, if you can't tell, I really like his style. So I bought the vest, and then I bought his granny's attic socks, which are these really cute. I think it's a plain sock, and then there's like a lace attachment that you put on after. I'll be putting pictures of the patterns hopefully, but yeah, when that one came out, I also thought it was super cute. There's like a mohair version where it's super floofy, and there's a version where you just use, I think, the same sock yarn that you use for the main sock. So it produces more of a, I would say webby, cobwebby look, which is the one I think I'll go for because I don't know if I can pull off the really floofy socks. And the last pattern that I got from the sale was, what is it called? It's not the look at my holes. It's the other mesh pattern. Oh, pure mesh pullover. That's the one I got. That one, the lace pattern is a lot more open, I would say. It's a lot more angular than the look at my holes lace pattern. And I've always liked the look of that one more. I know the look at my holes, I definitely hear about that one more on podcasts. I don't know if it's actually more popular, but I've always liked the pure mesh pullover look more. Yeah, I don't know, something about the angular edges makes it seem a little more edgy to me, and that kind of shirt is definitely a more edgy shirt. I would love to make a red version. I think it would look so cute. Hopefully I will have the like guts to wear that out. It's definitely something that's more out there, but I think I will. I've been trying to be more lax about what I think others think of what I wear. Yeah. Yeah, anyways, I'm really glad to have bought all those patterns. By the way, I only buy patterns right as I'm about to cast on. I know a lot of other people, they just buy patterns as soon as they release, with no immediate plans to cast them on, and I've never really understood that because it's a digital pattern, you can get it instantly. And there's a chance that you never end up casting it on, right? So yeah, I'll pretty much only buy patterns as soon, like after I finish the gauge and I've confirmed that my yarn and needle size work for the project, then I'll buy the pattern and cast on right after. The only exceptions are, if there's a sale or it's like a smaller designer and I kind of want to support their initial release. Yeah, that's just a little note. Yeah, and I think that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for listening to me blabber on, even though I don't have as much to show today. hopefully it's not too long of a podcast. Yeah, hope everyone has a nice day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.